Good morning. My name is Pichardo Remedo. I'm from Haiti. And I'm so happy to take this opportunity to share with you a little bit about a subject that is intensive agriculture and extensive agriculture. Uh, Intensive agriculture and extensive agriculture, they are two systems of agriculture. I'm going to talk about, firstly, intensive agriculture. What is it? Intensive agriculture is a system of agricultural production based on an increase of agricultural production in relation to the availability of factors of production. This relationship between volume produced and factors of production is called productivity. What does that mean? It means in intensive agriculture, we optimize the productivity. In one phrase, I can say we have more mouth to feed and less food to give. I'm going to take an example to clarify what I come to say. For example, in France, organic agriculture started to develop in 1870. But in reaction with conventional agriculture, it was very productive. But after the Second World War, like in 1944, the the bad consequences. It was very bad for this country because the bad consequences was a lot, and they had to they had to maximize, to optimize the production. They had to use another system of agriculture, and they used intensive agriculture to maximize the product because the bad consequences was bad for the population, and the population couldn't find food to eat. That means in intensive agriculture they maximize the product. That means we don't have enough food to give the population. We need to produce more, to speed, to accelerate the production, to become to have food to give the population. What we need to know in intensive agriculture, when we talk about intensive agriculture, we must refer to chemical fertilizers and pesticides, which participate in the disappearance of biodiversity. What does that mean? Biodiversity is all the ecosystems, plant, animal, all the varieties of plants and animal. But when we use chemical fertilizers, that means the animals and plants are useful for the regeneration of the soil. That means when we use chemical fertilizers against those plants and animals, we destroy biodiversity. We have two types of intensive agriculture. We have an old intensive agriculture and we have a modern intensive agriculture. In intensive agriculture modern, what is not good is because they use machines instead of workers. And this is as a bad consequences. What is it? Because when we use intensive agriculture modern, when we use machines instead of workers, that means people who work in agriculture, they will not find job, they will not find work. That means the intensive agriculture has a bad consequence that is human consequence. And as a result, what we can say uh, about intensive agriculture. Uh, Intensive agriculture is when we practice intensive agriculture, uh, our field, our ground are subject to erosion, and we have polluted rivers by nitrates and pesticides residues that we found in all the nature. But in case when we have heavy rain, the majority of the ground could go away, could fill, because Uh, it's the animal like earthworms, caterpillars, the bees that participate in the regeneration of the soil. But when we use chemical fertilizers and pesticides, they are against those plants and animals. When you use them, we kill them. That means the soil is not regenerating, and there is a big problem for us. For example, I'm going to take an example for bees. Bees contribute to the pollination of the soil. What is pollination? Pollination is the transfer of pollen to stigma, ovule, flower, or plants to allow fertilization. In this case, when we use chemical fertilizers and pesticide against the bees, how we're gonna have pollination? Because bees participate in almost 80% in the survival, evolution, and reproduction of the plants. If we kill them, we could not have pollination. Now, what we need to know is we can say intensive agriculture or conventional agriculture. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about intensive agriculture, which different, which is different to intensive agriculture. Intensive agriculture, it's an agriculture which is based on techniques which respect the environment and which does not seek to increase the productivity. In intensive agriculture, we we optimize the production, but in intensive agriculture, we respect the environment. We don't look for increase and maximize the production. We just respect the biodiversity. And in extensive agriculture, we don't use chemical fertilizers, any pesticides, no insecticides, no herbicides, no fungicides. Everything is natural. But uh, uh, in extensive agriculture, in spite of we don't use chemical fertilizers, but the crops need to treat like to enrich plants and with mineral elements like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which plants need to better develop. Instead of chemical fertilizer, because in extensive agriculture we don't use them. Instead of chemical fertilizers, uh, uh, we use a product that called compost. We obtain this and which green weights in branches or leaves, etc. We allow those things to degrade for 10 or 12 months. And we use natural fertilizers like manure. We can use manure like a natural fertilizers. In extensive agriculture, what we need to know, we don't use chemical fertilizers, any imports, only organic matter. For example, beet waste. What is the advantage of intensive agriculture? It was with natural products we respect the biodiversity, like we let the caterpillars, the bees do their work. That means we let live earthworms, caterpillars, bees, bacteria, and fungi. We play a big role, a big importance in in the development and the regeneration of the soil. When we practice organic farming, we can say organic agriculture or extensive agriculture. We help protect our natural resources because in intensive agriculture we have erosion. That means this is a bad consequences for our natural resources. But in intensive agriculture, we protect it. We protect biodiversity, animal welfare, and we support the development of rural areas. In a nutshell, what can I say about intensive agriculture? Because in intensive agriculture, when we consume the the products of intensive agriculture. It affects us, our health, because we can have bad illness. But in intensive agriculture is this is a method of agricultural production that offers consumers tasty and authentic food while respecting the natural cycles of plant. We don't kill the plant and we don't kill the animal that are important for the soil, for the ground, because they participate in the evolution and reproduction. That means they play their role. And it also makes it possible to maintain or develop technicals. But a little bit summary is intensive agriculture will maximize the production. And in intensive agriculture we respect the biodiversity. We don't use chemical fertilizers, we don't use inputs. That means it's better to use system agriculture that is extensive agriculture or organic farming, organic agriculture. It was a pleasure to share with you a little bit about those two systems of agriculture. Thank you. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.